what are we? We're humans, right? And what do humans do? Humans make mistakes. I personally make a lot of mistakes, and sometimes I make huge mistakes that I will never ever forget for the rest of my lives. And that's totally normal. We're humans, right? But if you're a famous person, and then you have made a pretty huge mistake, then it would be a totally different matter because of your fame, of your reputation. And that will bring you in pretty hot water. This is what's happening to the most recent beauty queens of Miss World Vietnam 2023. Her name is Huỳnh Trân Ý Nhi. This may sound pretty familiar if you've been catching up with the news. And in this video, I want to discuss some viewpoints surrounding Ý Nhi's events or issues. Well, I do acknowledge that this is a controversial topic, and I will try my best to discuss viewpoints as objectively as I possibly can. And I do acknowledge that I may make a lot of mistakes in this video. But let's get into it. It's some discussions that we may want to have with your friends, that I personally want to have with my friends, if my friends are willing to have with me. But okay, let's start. Tracing back 2 weeks ago, what happened? The most recent beauty queen was found by the beauty pageant. So Huỳnh Trân Ý Nhi is the beauty queen, and she is hailed because of her beauty, because of her intelligence that people saw in the improvised or in the answering question sections of the beauty pageant. And people with admiring eyes gazed towards the beauty queen as she walked the stage when she was crowned. But what is controversial is following the beauty pageant. After the beauty pageant, there were interviews carried out to interview the winners of the competitions. Of course, after competitions, we need to know and we want to know the feelings of the winners, right? So there are interviews for the beauty queens, and her words, her statements there are controversial. Stirred up a lot of debates on social media and among people. What did she actually say? Let's list them out here a little bit and inspect some of them. So when she was asked to list 3 famous people in her home province, Bình Định, it's a province in the south, she listed herself as the first person. 2 remaining ones are poet Han Mặc Tử and King Quang Trung. This is deemed inappropriate, especially inappropriate, because people say that it's too proud, it's too arrogant to actually list yourself as one of the famous person in your home province. Well, in a closer look, it's not actually false, right? But speaking that you are famous and you are good, you are smart and like that, it's deemed arrogant by other people, especially if you're famous one. And listing yourself equal to Vietnam's legendary figures are especially inappropriate. So that's why it's controversial. But that did not stop there. There's more. She said, while my peers are sleeping and drinking milk tea, I've become the beauty queen. This is controversial because she is recognized as a girl who thinks that, or who has a wild imagination of her maturity. She thinks herself as a very mature person, but she's just being arrogant and she's just too queer and proud of ourselves. Well, people think that she has a certain contempt towards her boyfriend when she said, "I'm now in a new positions, a great leap from who I was 2 to 3 months ago, and I believe that my boyfriend also need to make quick changes and progress himself more to keep up with me. But I also want him to maintain his carefreeness as his age, because I don't want to pressure anyone to change because of me." People think that this is controversial. This is inappropriate because she is contempting her boyfriend and actually pressuring him to change because of her, like the opposite of her words. Well, I have not yet expressed my opinions here because that did not stop there. So another more. When she was asked about the love between the beautiful girls and like wealthy guys, she says, "Birds of the same flock fly together." In Vietnam, the issues of love between beautiful girls and wealthy guys is a big problem, because beautiful girls and usually like with long legs always just look for money, and that's why they're actually willing to marry guys who are like in their 70s or 80s because they have a lot of money. And the wealthy guys only look for love, for beauty to entertain their eyes. And for Vietnamese people, for a lot of them, they think that this is a big problem among younger generations, and that should not happen. And people raises that problems a lot in terms of or related to beauty pageants, because beauty pageants has a lot of beauty queens and like beautiful people there. So that's why they ask her this question in the interview. And when she says birds of the same flock fly together, in Vietnamese it's called gió từng nào gặp mây từng đấy, or in more descriptions, birds of the same flock fly together means that if you're this high, then you may want to meet, or you will meet your partners, or the person or people that you meet will also be this high instead of this low. So basically, if you have a decent educational background, you'll meet the people in the same level. So that is basically what she means by saying that, according to people online. Well, okay, we've gone through a lot of controversial topics, like controversial statements of Huỳnh Trần Ý Nhi that's deemed tone deaf by the media. And she has received so many controversies and negative reactions that after a few days she has to post videos of her offering a tearful apology to the audience. That's very sad. And she said that she admitted she wasn't experienced enough to have that much soft skills, and that she's just 21 years old and she is learning more soft skills in the future, and she hopes to have people opening arms for her to let her fix the mistakes. Well, and one more fact. The anti-Facebook group of Huỳnh Trần Ý Nhi has had the number of participants rocketed up to more than 500,000 people in just 2 weeks. That's too staggering, and that's shocking too. Like, we see the power of social media there, and we'll get to that later. But right now, let's have more expectations, like inspect into the words of Yini. What do you think about that? I think it's also about soft skills. It's also about like when you have joined a very prolonged beauty contest, you've been pretty fatigued, and then you also have more interviews and too, and at that time your mind will not be as clear as before to actually have a clear and direct and appropriate answers. Well, that's according to the beauty queen. And I think that's also true to a lot of us. Like personally, when I feel fatigued or exhausted, my mind is not clear at all. And I cannot actually have any ideas coming up to learn or like to speak with people so clearly or coherently, and that may leads to a lot of misleading interpretations, right? And personally, I can still feel some sympathies for her for saying those inappropriate and offensive languages, but also because of her exhaustion, because she has been pushed to exhaustion, to her limit, I think. So that's why her words are not as clear. But that leads to more problems, all right? For famous people, I think that they should also be more aware and be more careful about their own statements and their own speeches, because they're the public figures, and public figures attract attentions very easily. So that's why minor mistakes and even minor errors will bring those in in hot water and may make them struggle a lot and may make them questioning their life decisions, for example. So public figures like Huỳnh Trần Ý should really be careful of their own words. And that is not actually the thing that all famous people are good at. And they're still learning too. And I think the core thing here is the humbleness, right? Like sometimes when you don't actually good at communicating, but you still have a humbleness in yourself and your words seem so kind. That's it. And so I think somehow the problem here is also like humbleness and arrogance in some aspects. But I also want to discuss more things surrounding these issues. And one of the things is the power of social media, as I've mentioned earlier. So, like I said, the anti-Facebook group of Huỳnh Trần Ý, more than 500,000 now. And inside the posts, along with more posts outside the group, has a lot of hate speeches for the new beauty queen. They said that she was unsuitable for the beauty crowns because she has short minds and her speeches are unclear and very inappropriate, and this slip of the tongue of her, this thoughtless speech of her should be punished by taking away her crowns. Well, I think they have a point in their viewpoints, saying that this is inappropriate for beauty queen for saying so, for making those statements. But I don't think that there should be that much. But social media is that. Social media platforms are the places where people have subjective opinions on certain issues. There may be a lot of sides of the issues in social medias, and people have freedom of expressions, freedom of speech on social media platforms, and that's why we can see kind words spreading around, but also hate speeches spreading around. So that's this incident, for example, kind of like exposes the dark sides of social media more, in my opinion. They exposes that darker sides in which it makes people feel miserable, especially if you're a famous person and then you are making huge mistakes. Yes, social media is like worsening and exacerbating those, because a lot of opinions and negative reactions will be posted online, and some groups, anti-groups like the one I've mentioned earlier, will be targeting the famous people, more public figures, and people may not have an objective opinions on issues and events. That's a problem, right? I hope it makes sense. It's the one-sidedness of social medias in some aspects. And because people are granted the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech to express whatever they have in their minds or whatever they want to say to the crowds, because of being granted that freedom, people think they have the right to hurt other feelings. And they may not also be aware, even actually aware, of hurting other people's feelings or not, because they think they have the right. So overall, in this sections, I want to say that social media has a very violent side. And if you are, or if you fell in that vicious cycle, it's very difficult to get out. Yeah. And one more problem. It's the surge in popularity of beauty pageants. In the last year, 2023, there were like more than 20 or 30 beauty pageants organized. Well, in this year, there are even like more beauty pageants organized only in Vietnam. Like, speaking of Vietnam only, and this kind of like diminishes the meaningful value of the beauty pageants. Beauty pageants, to a lot of people, are meant to praise the beauty of the women, to praise that they're not only beautiful beings, human beings, but also smart, intelligent, quick-witted, sensible, and agile human beings. That's the like core values that people supposed to actually head towards. But now, because like there are so many beauty pageants and beauty contests everywhere and at like any time, people feel that they're not actually have that meaningful value anymore. They do not have actually that meanings anymore. Instead, it's more kind of like an entertainment industry. It's more kind of like having as many people in the contest as possible and just make them walk around the stages and answer some questions and then have some winners and then just end. And then make money from it. Make money. That's kind of like the point. And so, to wrap things up in this section, beauty pageants, in my opinion, are getting more popular and popular. And that is, I think, a negative trend. Even though that if that thing is good and it's surplus everywhere, then it's okay. But in this case, I don't think that positive trend is happening. And so I think it's safe to say that beauty pageants should be in much more better quality, with like only a certain amount or certain numbers of them organized in a year, to maintain its quality, to maintain its value, and to bring the actual value to people, spread the kindness and spread the kind words to other people instead of just making money from them. because, businesses may promote their brands through some beauty pageants like that, or people can make money by making the beauty queens wear whatever their companies are selling. So that's a problem, right? We don't want that. Okay, it's been 20 minutes already, and I think we've come through a lot of discussions things today. I do acknowledge that this is a controversial topic again, and my viewpoints and my discussions in this video may not be appropriate in some aspect, but I think I have tried to discuss it as objectively as I can. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you will always have an open-minded mind towards every issue, so that you can gain a perspective from as many viewpoints, from as many corners as possible. And that's more interesting than just looking at things at just one tiny corners, right? It's more broad that way. So, thank you for listening, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.